Hello, welcome to the very last of our vlogs from May. I wanted to reflect a little bit today on some work we've been doing this week, first of all in the public board meeting, but also with each of our care groups in what we call our delivery reviews. Really important spaces where we have a conversation across a whole range of issues, all at the same time, as it were. So talking about patient safety, talking about workforce well-being, talking about finance, talking about service development, trying to balance those things as best we can. And in the board meeting, we did two things, well maybe three, that are very relevant to that. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about why I feel they should matter to you. In around about August of this year, we'll formally launch the organisation's quality and safety plan. The board considered it again this week. And what you'll find when you get to that plan is that it really tries to concentrate on a small number of important measures. So what we mean by safety, the well-being you might find at work, the safe position we need to put our patients in the way in which we care for people. So things like personalised care planning, things like good consent, things like smart control of medication in our organisation all play into that. And then on the quality side, you know that we've worked really hard on outcome measures in physical health, in children's care and in adult and older adult mental health services, including through our Dialogue Plus space. So what you're going to find over the next few months is increasing organisational emphasis at directorate level and at care group level and with corporate support on a smaller number of really core measures that define, in the views of our patients and our regulators and your feedback, what quality and safety means in our organisation. Of course, a part of that is the enormous amount of work that has gone on in March, April and May to build up evidence libraries and self-assessments around the standards that our regulators set around safety, effectiveness, being well led, being responsive, and perhaps most importantly about being caring. And I wanted to thank the dozens, if not hundreds of folk who've been involved in that work up to now, and to recognise that by the time we get to the board's meeting in July, we're trying to have a sort of semi-final stock take really of how safe is this organisation in each of our 13 clinical directorates, how responsive is our care, are we able to say we have equity of access, are we making good use of interpreters, are we able to say that our care planning and our risk assessments are as strong as they might be in terms of safety. What I suppose I'm getting across is that the management language of our organisation ought to be firmly and unambiguously in that space of safety and the work we need to do to bring quality improvement to the services that we lead. Part of that, of course, has been an organisation that is able to listen, and I wanted to reflect a couple of things in that space. The first is we had our biannual presentation from our Freedom to Speak Up Guardian and that wider FTSE system. What really struck me was the way in which a number of members of staff have been able to put their name and their face to tell the story of their experience of using the FTSE process. And I know that just under half of people working in our organisation tell us in anonymised surveys that they don't believe that speaking up will make a difference. I can't convince you in a vlog that it could or that it will, but I guess maybe worth looking again at some of those stories. They're on Trust Matters, and that's why they're on the screen in this film, just to build a sense of the difference that your voice can make. Some of the voices I've been listening to in the last few days have talked to me about national changes in immigration status. We had governmental announcements about visas and arrangements in social care. Then we've had probably announcements about how UK-born medical graduates will be prioritised over international doctors in the future NHS system. But here's the feedback I'm hearing. The feedback I'm hearing is that conversation, those conversations nationally, then play in to almost seemingly legitimising completely unacceptable racism and discrimination, people not feeling supported, right here in our organisation. People who may be in their outer work life or in their work life are now feeling like there's a permission being given somewhere to make discriminatory comments. I think our organisation, our board, stands where it has always stood. We feel that the diversity of our workforce, drawing people from all over the world, but growing people locally as well into careers, is the right way for us to go. And healthcare is a people business, so the more range of views, backgrounds and perspectives we can bring to bear to that, maybe the better able we are to care for patients who may have had that same diversity of life experience. So I guess my message is this, whether it's through our Reach network or through other forums, just to pay a little bit more attention as line managers and as folk to the potential experiences that people are finding legitimised by that national conversation, which, let's face it, at times is pretty ugly. Learning is always going to be part of this conversation, and during June, our Learning and Education group will bring together and synthesise some more thoughts on how, as an organisation, we try and make sure we're learning in Ardash. Learning half days are a big part of that. There's potential for more learning briefs and local information sharing, but I guess a key part of that will be making sure, using the PSERF system with the new radar, that we're really able to distill examples of what needs to be learnt, both from the lower level harm that might happen in our organisation and from very serious patient incidents. As a board, again this month, we spent time looking at the 18 reported incidents at the most severe level of harm from last year, and what we as an organisation have to do to make a difference to those, if we're honest, sometimes foreseeable examples of things going wrong. So take a look, if you get a chance, at that board paper, or ask your care group leadership team about that as we go through the year ahead. Patient safety incident investigations will feature right at the heart of the management system of this organisation, as important to be followed through as our work on 4 weeks or our work to reduce and eliminate out of area placements. Again, trying to make sure that learning is at the heart of our organisational system. Now, I've mentioned speaking up. Somebody wrote to me the other day saying, when are you going to restart those listening events that the executive used to do in 2023 and 2024? Details, I hope, on the screen. Take a look as we go through the latter part of June. We will be out and about doing some face-to-face events, but we'll also put in differently some online events for folk who want to do that kind of ask me anything thing. You don't have to come. There's not a big announcement, but it is an opportunity to hear from you what's on your mind. Gives me material for future vlogs, but more importantly, gives us the opportunity to think whether the emphasis of the leadership of this organisation is not just where our population wants it to be, but where you, as people providing care and support for people who provide care, want it to be in our organisation. Thanks ever so much for listening, and let's have a fantastic June together. There's a lot of work to do, but I'm really confident we're headed in the right direction.